Sometimes it's time for a pivot. It just came a little unexpected early. Mentally not ready to really having to think about how it's gonna work out. Hi everyone, I'm Kea-Sophie. On this channel, I'm taking you on my journey moving from Munich, Germany to Los Angeles. Expat life, exploring LA, discovering culture and life. And in this episode, I'm gonna take you a bit into my overwhelm that I was experiencing for the last 4 weeks, roundabout, maybe 5, and why I'm only now back to the channel. Let's do a little bit of a life update. I love living in Los Angeles. It literally gives me so much opportunity to level up. I can define myself as what I want to be. Last week I made my vision board, which I highly recommend to you because it has so much power putting together these pictures that reflect how you want to feel, how you picture yourself in the future. And all those feelings that are generated in you when you think about your dreams and wishes. And actually, that's really, in the end, what got me out of my overwhelm. And now every time I look at it, I just feel this joy rising up in me. Building a life in a new place definitely has those vision board moments, but it also has a lot of real life moments. And they can be quite overwhelming sometimes, so let's dive into it. Let me tell you about my last weeks. I recently got my working permit, which is so great. It came much earlier than anyone would have expected, and I was totally happy about it. At first, it really felt like, boom, I can finally start working. I felt so official all of a sudden, and it also felt so good to know the process is moving. So these feelings lasted for a few weeks, and then I started to be so overwhelmed by it. What am I going to work? How am I going to find something? Am I continue being self-employed or should I find a job? So a million questions were running up and down my mind and were just stuck. They were literally stuck in my head and just kind of looping. I'm sure you've experienced things like that before. So in addition to that, there were a lot of administrative tasks to take care of, which also felt a little overwhelming. And I think, as I have talked before in my videos, there are so many things that can overwhelm you moving to a new country. It just comes with it, like with all the joy and all the opportunities and all the positive challenges it gives you. It also really can bring a lot of overwhelm. But from many people I've talked to, the job thing is really the most overwhelming part. Because if you don't come to the new country with a job, a lot of people move because of a job, that's different. But if you land in the new place and maybe even land there at first without having a working permit and then diving into the job situation, you have to deal with everything right there. And that can be quite tough because, let's be honest, unless you have some big money in the background, job is existence. We all have to make a living somehow. And in addition to that, it's really not only the money, it's also the question, what am I going to spend my time on, right? I want to do something with purpose. And this YouTube channel gives me a lot of purpose, and I have the big wish and vision that it's going to grow and that it's going to support as many expats or to be expats as possible. But this is all some steps to go from here, right? So what is it? What is it that I am going to make a living with and that I feel purpose and joy in and all of that? It's not for nothing that there are so many expat job coaches, because if you don't already come here with a job or have a very straight vision of what you want to do. So here you go, you have a straight line. And don't get me wrong, I have a vision as well. I have a very clear vision. But then the question is, how do you translate that into action in this new environment when you're actually able to? So I tapped right into this overwhelm. And I think part of it is because the permit came so early. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about that one bit. It's great. I'm so grateful for that. But towards the end of last year, I started sorting out things. I started preparing myself. I started setting my mind in the direction of where I wanted to go and started taking action on it. But a little bit in the safe space of I couldn't do anything yet. But then I could all of a sudden. And I started having this really urgent feeling of I have to know now. So personally, when I get overwhelmed, I swing in between crazy action and frozen. Like there will be so many moments where I'm just frozen. And that is why I couldn't do any YouTube videos anymore. And then there was this crazy action where I just kind of like run around and do things, but they're not really focused. So instead of taking you guys into the process, I felt like I have nothing to say because I was stuck in my own overwhelm. But then I had so many encouraging and interesting conversations with people I know here, with people who have already gone through the process or in a similar process. And I got so many good tips and perspective, and doors started to open. And that was really the part that got me back on track and got me to making my vision board and really like signing up for a clear path that I am going for. So for you, if you are an expat, if you're looking at being an expat, maybe you've been already through all that. It really doesn't matter. We all always have situations where we get overwhelmed, and that's why I want to share some of my tools that I actually use and have access to pull myself out of this state. Because although, you know, I may freeze, I may get into a crazy action, I did gain the consciousness over the years to be able to observe myself and know what's going on and know what I have to do to pull myself out of it. So that is very helpful. And, you know, besides speaking to people and getting a lot of very lovely support, I do have my tools, and these I want to share with you now. So these are the most important things I do. I write, I move, I spend a lot of time in nature, I find inspiring talks that motivate me, I practice a lot of Kundalini yoga to get clarity, and I remind myself to be compassionate with myself, and hopefully some friends and my husband remind me too, because that is probably the part that I struggle in most. But I have a really good friend here, and she said, like, you're sitting now across from me at a coffee shop, and I was just kind of like telling her a little bit what's going on for me, and she said, you know, you're in such a difficult situation, and it's good, and you're gonna move forward, but be compassionate with yourself. And I was like, yes, you're right. I really want to be more compassionate with myself in these moments, because I tend to not allow myself to feel that I'm in a difficult situation, because I feel like I should be able to handle it because I have all my great tools. So it's a little bit interlaced, but we're all here to learn, to practice, and we're all on our way. And I just love it. I just love the development I get out of these things and being in that process. And although maybe that's a lie, it's not always being in the process that I enjoy so much, but handling the process and learning from it. That is the joy I find in it. So I really look at my toolkit, and I have built this over so many years, and I have talked about it in a few videos before. So it's just very, very important for us to have tools that we can catch ourselves with. So it's just really important to have tools that we're actually practice in using, that we can catch ourselves with, especially in times of overwhelm. Calm your nervous system, to balance your nervous system. And there are many great tools to do that. I teach a bunch of them, but it's like, whatever it can be for you. And if you just use some essential oils, that can be very, very great to balance your nervous system, because your nerve endings are right there under your skin, and they will immediately respond to an essential oil. By the way, if you're either interested in building your toolkit or essential oils, just pop me a message and I'll be super happy to look into that with you. Then there's one thing that, especially in times of overwhelm regarding action steps or reaching things, achieving things, for me, the key is to remind myself and to be very conscious about divine timing or universal timing, or whatever you want to call it for yourself. That does not mean you just sit around and wait until the universe serves you. It means that if things don't fall into place immediately, as you would like them to be, or as you wish for them to be, it may simply not be the time for it. And oftentimes you can really take it as a chance. So after a moment or two of pouting, or maybe being angry or disappointed that things haven't worked out yet, or you haven't achieved what you're looking for yet, I personally get in the habit of assessing the situation, feeling into the situation. Don't use your brain too much. Sometimes it's really more the feeling and really feeling into it. But then also, sometimes it's really thinking about it and assessing it on a cognitive level. You have to figure out what's what for the moment or for the situation you're in. That may mean you're just slightly shifting things, you're adjusting things. You may add something or take something, arrange something, or it may mean you pivot. Sometimes it's time for a pivot. So after the last few weeks, I simply felt like I had nothing to say and really nothing meaningful to give to you, which objectively obviously wasn't true, but I just wasn't in the position. I allowed myself that, but at the same time I was very disappointed that I didn't keep my schedule, because my schedule and what I signed up for with myself was to post at least one YouTube video a week. But here we are, practicing self-compassion, looking at the divine timing, and getting out all the tools of my toolkit so that I'm now happy and present and aware and back to level up even more and elevate my life. And taking you on the journey and inspiring you with the journey and with everything I'm experiencing is my biggest joy. So if it's as much joy for you, please consider to subscribe to the channel, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye!